Hello, I'm Ashley Weaver and I'm a crop insurance specialist for Farm Credit Mid-America. I cover Mansfield, Worcester, and Overland offices and thought it was important that I share this newer product with you in a way that is safe for our families. Today I'm going to share with you the margin protection policy that not only mitigates yield and price risk, it also protects you from most of the risk associated with your input costs increasing between when you make your planting decisions and when you actually buy and use your inputs. This highly subsidized shallow loss product that can pay $1.20 for every dollar of loss is an amazing new financial technology we are going to want to consider for next year's crop. Once again, it's called margin protection and it helps leverage opportunities and mitigate risk better than any other subsidized product on the market for those whose yields track the county. These are Farm Credit Mid-America's foundational business principles. These principles are why we believe margin protection can help us put in place a price floor very early in the planting stages for next year's crop on all your anticipated acres. Establish minimums that cover as many of your input costs as possible and leave open the option of leveraging opportunity if markets rally. Here are Farm Credit Crop Insurance's fundamentals of risk management. Understanding margin protection will help us better understand your exposures and create a decisive plan that we will execute when the time is right. Costs are so high relative to safety nets that there is no way to save our way into prosperity. We have to focus on leveraging opportunity and making money. This is why we help customers document their minimum revenue and price goals throughout the year. The revenue formula is pretty simple. Yield times price equals revenue. Revenue plans help you cover risk associated with yield and price drops. The guaranteed market price times your approved yield times your coverage level is your revenue guarantee. So what's missing? Your input cost. What happens if you grow your approved yield and the crop insurance final price equals the February average, but the cost of fuel, fertilizer, and your operating loan interest are all higher than you expected? The answer is you still suffer a loss because while you exceeded your RP crop insurance guarantee, your input cost increases ate you alive. The margin formula takes into consideration these input costs that can spike higher. The margin formula is revenue minus cost equals margin. Margin protection, or MP, is an area-based plan and uses the same harvest price as RP and supplemental coverage option. MP offers coverage up to 95%. Our belief at Farm Credit Mid-America is if an area plan is good for your operation, you should take advantage of all it has to offer. If the area plan is not a good fit for your operation, then we need to stay as far away from it as possible. Another very nice option available to us with MP is the ability to purchase an underlying base policy with an individual coverage such as an RP policy. And you get a premium credit applied to your MP premium when you do. What we have seen is you can add an 80 or 85% RP individual plan of coverage for a little additional cost because of the premium credit for the duplicative risk covered by both policies. Another advantage for the underlying RP policy is the replant and prevent plant coverage. If you buy a margin protection policy and couple it with a RP-based policy, you cannot purchase an SCO policy to put with your RP policy. This won't be an issue because we will make the margin protection decision 5.5 months before you have to make an SCO or farm program decision. SCO and margin use the same expected and harvest yields. SCO coverage starts at 86% and margin coverage starts at 95%. Margin is always going to deliver a higher revenue trigger safety net than SCO. Plus, with margin, you can enroll in either ARC or PLC, but with SCO, you are limited to only PLC. SCO and margin indemnities are paid at the same time. Additionally, MP can pay $1.20 for every dollar of loss. When you have a loss, you need the revenue. Unlike what people have done with the RP policy, which has been trying to save money by buying down to lower coverage levels, we do not want to make that same mistake with an area plan of coverage. With this in mind, we will be exclusively looking at the 95% 120 level of coverage. You will also notice when you stack an RP policy with an MP policy, you get the greater of the indemnities associated with these policies. Occasionally, that may result in you receiving a portion of the total indemnity in the fall near harvest and the rest of the indemnity payment the following summer, when the final county production yields are published by RMA. Let's go over to our indemnity calculator to look at a couple scenarios to see how margin protection would work. What I have pulled up here is for the 2020 crop year, the crop that is currently planted in the ground. Farmers that are taking advantage of this would have made this decision last fall to purchase the MP policy. I picked Richland County corn, but know that all the counties would work the same. The only difference would be the county yields. You can see that Richland County expected yield is 177.6 for 2020, and the final county yield obviously won't be known until next summer. Our projected price for corn was $4.03, and that was discovered last fall. Our harvest price is currently being averaged for the December futures, and that's at $3.41, and that price will be set in the middle of September. You may notice that the expected and harvest are the same for some of the urea, DAP, and potash. That is due to COVID. During the discovery periods, the markets weren't available, so for this year, these numbers will remain the same. It's important to note that these values will not match what your input costs are. The values used in margin protection were derived from working with Ohio State University during the development process, and your actual individual input costs do not impact whether or not you have a claim. So we're going to look and see what this policy would look like for 2020. So you can see that anybody who purchased this policy last fall is looking at about a $76 indemnity per acre on their corn. Because this is a shallow loss product, it only takes a 5% drop in price or yield or a 5% increase in cost to trigger a claim. So that's why this is triggering so easily. We can compare this to your RP policy. So if you just had a revenue protection policy, your APH was 177 and you grew an average crop, projected price was set this spring at 388, and the harvest price would obviously match the margin protection price. And you can see that with an 85% policy, you're still $19 short of an indemnity on your revenue policy. So we can look at what 2021 would look like. And we'll keep all the factors the same. The expected county yields were updated last week, and there were multiple counties in Ohio that did not see a change in their expected county yields, and Richland County is one, so that yield is going to be the same. The projected price is tracking right now at $375 for 2021, so that will be set here in a few weeks. And most of these, barring any major changes, will probably remain very close to what they look like here. So we can speculate what the harvest price would be for 2021. So if we, as a country, we have a decent crop for 2020, we have quite a bit of inventory and a decent growing season next year. So we are looking at a $330 harvest price for 2021. So let's see what that looks like. We'll keep all of the input costs the same. So we'll just pretend that these are going to remain flat and stay the same. So you can see that once again, just with that decrease in the price and an average growing crop, we have a $55 indemnity on this MP policy for 21. We can compare it to the RP policy again. So we have raise an average crop. Our RP projected price would be discovered next spring. And let's say that comes in at $365, and then our harvest price is going to match the margin protection price at $330, and see what that looks like. So with an 85% policy, you can see that we're still $35 short of an indemnity if those prices were to hold true, and the margin protection is paying just over $55. So what this policy is really just helping to close that gap that farmers are seeing with their revenue guarantees. It is important for you to be fully informed on margin protection now, because the final date to choose margin protection for the crop you will plant next spring is September 30th. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about a product that is quickly gaining traction in the crop insurance world. If you would like to schedule a time to run more scenarios or talk about how margin protection would work for your farm, please reach out to set up an appointment or a time to talk with me. My information is on the slide, or you can reach out to your loan officer and they can put us in contact with each other. Thank you and have a nice day.